a little behind posting things online. Second thing, apologize for last class. What actually happened was NetBeans is being stupid with the new version, but you can't, with Derby, you can't keep going back down versions because they're built for certain versions of Java. So you actually have to stick with the one you have and just sort of make it work. Our options are actually, let me turn off the front lights. Our options. So our options are actually to install MySQL or Oracle, and I'd really like to avoid those options. You thought NetBeans was fun to install? Yeah, right. With Derby, there's no configuration. There's no database configuration. There's no creating users, then creating the databases and all those things that are associated with it. Right, with Derby, we just do some really simple things to create our databases. With both Oracle and MySQL, we actually have to manage the database system as well as the databases. So we don't want to do that if we can avoid it, right? Right. And we still want to use Derby, but we're going to have to make it work. And so what I did to make it work, and I'm just going to go over it real quick. If you watch the recording, it's only about a 10-minute recording. So I apologize. This is really small for me to see, and usually I have a little button. There's no. Okay. Good move. Just installed it yesterday. Do I need to put my glasses on, or do I need to go get my glasses? Okay. I must have deleted the. All right. I deleted the whatchamacallit, of course, but I didn't pin it down to the workstation. So I'm just going to show you. See, NetBeans is in fact installed. I just don't have it in a place where I can grab it. And I can barely see. Go to this PC, we go to disk. Program files. Sorry, I apologize, the text is small. I think it's 64 is the one we want. Okay, come on. I need to create a shortcut. Yes, create it on the desktop. Make sure this is the right thing we wanted to shortcut. $50 says it is, but let's make sure. So all I did was I deleted the shortcut. And I guess I don't have it in my start menu, or it is there and I can't see it because it's too small.
You check in the A's?
I'm wondering if I should check in the, no, I didn't check in the A's. That's a good point. But I was wondering if I should check in the O's.
You can type it there too.
Hold on. Can't get the mouse to work. Oh, there you go. Right? Good call. Yes, ma'am.
Are you literally doing what, like the same thing from Monday?
So if you watch the extra recording, I'm not going to completely do everything I did like I did on the extra recording part. What I'm going to do is quickly go over what I did.
Okay.
Right? To fix it. I wasn't going to start from the beginning. And I should have brought a mouse, obviously, right? Okay, so the big deal here was the driver for the Java database network needs to have the Derby tools. If it doesn't have Derby tools, it's not going to connect at any point. It's going to do nothing. Nothing. It will not do jack shit. Okay, so in other words, Derby client and Derby jar used to be what all you needed to get. All you needed to get, and I know you can't see it up there, but it needs to have Derby tools associated with it. I should use the magnifier. That's all I did. That little change allows you to create databases and do. There you go. See the Derby tools? It's the only difference. That's it. Once I set that, it all works, but it doesn't, huh?
Is there like a thing on Blackboard where to install it? Or-
Yeah, I actually put a video, like there's part 1 and part 2 for Monday. And I'm gonna take 10 minutes off today, so I'm gonna finish 10 minutes early today because I put the extra 10 minutes on last class. So I'm gonna make up for that time. And that's it. Now, to create a new database, you actually have to do a new connection, and you want to use the database network that you just created. Then you go here, and I'm going to create one for, no, somebody's name I can remember. No, I can remember your name. I remember Nathan, that's the problem. So it's always localhost for the host name. It's always port 1527, always. The database I'm going to use is Huerta, which is his last name, right? Because that's what you're going to use, is you're going to use your last name. Yes, I realize I'm using a lot of resources, but I need you to move the frickin'. Oh, also, you know what? Let me close that so I can close this. There we go. And I will do it again. Sorry. And I hit the magnifier while I'm at it. You can actually see it. So go back to this screen. The host is always going to be localhost. The port's always going to be 1527. The database, in this case, I'm going to use Nathan's last name. And I'm always going to just use your last name. So where shit. Ooh, okay. Okay, this is important. See this URL? Okay, come on, I need the mouse to work. If the mouse doesn't work, this is going to be a long day. My resource is that bad. Okay. Mouse works just fine. See, everybody sees the mouse works. I'm literally typing the same thing over and over. I keep losing the mouse and it's driving me crazy. Okay, go back to what we're saying. Magnifier. What is going on with this mouse? It's not one thing, it's another thing, right?
Cool. Tech.
Huh?
Tech.
I mean, really, stupid computer. All right, so we go to the screen. Not the screen, the URL. And we want to just add something. We want to add a semicolon. And then when we want to add a name value pair, so create equals true. And what's going to happen is, and I did this in the recording as well, that short little part 2 recording. If I do this, it creates a database if the database doesn't exist. If it's already existent, it just connects to it. And I click next. And you can see it started and it's asking me what my schema should be. You can just go with whatever. And then you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to just name it where, right? And then if it works, you'll see this being connected, right? And so there's no squiggly line through it. That means it's connected. Yay! That's how we create a database using NetBeans. We have to at least create the database. Okay? You have to at least create the database, because without the database, we can't do any other real work. Now, what can I do here? I can actually create a table inside the database from NetBeans. I'm not going to because we have time issues today. So what I'm going to do is create a new project and give me a Java application. And I'm going to name it. Okay, I really need to start bringing glasses to work, to class. Like, I mean, it's as tiny as it is for you. It's very tiny for me too. So what is today? 9/14. Package cannot end in a period. Oh, yeah, you're right. You can end a period. Huh, doesn't already get the project name. Whatever. We'll go with. That should be 9/14, but I can't read it. Here we go. Seriously? All right, fine. Just go with edu.roosevelt. There we go. And click finish. Because we actually have to do some things to make it work. I had this Derby test thing. I had it already ready to run. Yay. And so I'm just going to grab the code for it. There's no reason to not just grab the code for it because I'm just going to reuse it. But there's some bad news. It's not going to just work. Right. So it asks for import SQL connection and the Derby manager, blah, 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 blah. Right. You would think if I ran it, it would just work. I do need to change the size. I'm aware. That I can fix pretty quickly. Should remember to change the size here before I came in class, but actually deleted and reinstalled it like 10 times. And as a result of changing it, deleting and reinstalling it 10 times, guess what? All right. There we go. It's bigger. All this does is create a stable student SID integer varchar. It actually tries to drop it as well. Nothing special about this. The code is what we had in the, not sure why it's reopening. The code is what we had in before. It's connecting to the root database and the root password. That's something that keeps happening. And you click OK and it'll stop coming up. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Excuse my language. All right. It's only days when you're in a hurry, honestly. All right. So all this does is create a database, connects to a database. The code is basically straight from the presentation. There's nothing special about it, but it creates a database. It's a good way of just seeing if it connects, right? I'm going to point out something a little weird. This was working before. If I type Mike here, the password should be wrong, correct? It's going to say it can't find a driver, by the way, which we'll talk about in a minute. No suitable driver found because I didn't import the driver. The system uses that Java database driver, right? The system can do that, but the code can't. So all we just need to do is go to our dependencies, add dependency, and then you're looking for brain farting. It's not the name of the driver, is it? All right, what are we not right clicking now? Oh, there we go. Trying to think of the name of the driver. Can't remember. So if you can't remember, you know what you can do? It's actually in here. So you go back in the driver, click here, click there, click customize, and there it is. Org, Apache, Derby, JDBC. I wish you could just put, like the old days, you used to just be able to say, hey, use this library, right? There we go. Still no. Okay, fine. Fine, you want to be that way? In here. Okay, so this is really annoying me. I can add the dependency by doing this. It should search and it should come up with it. Or see down there? Oh, those are old. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble seeing, which is not helping anyone. The database is in here, should be in here. There it is. Should know about it. Okay. Now let's go back and add our dependencies. I'm sorry, like it's really small and it should be finding it. Right, here it is, right? Hold on one second. This is really annoying me. Am I missing some? I am missing something, apparently. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Why are we working so hard? Right? Hate to be that guy, but look at this. Yay! There's a dependency. Right? So okay, but how do I get it to download it? All right. So what Maven does, by the way, is Maven actually handles all of your dependencies for you. So you don't just add a library in like the old school way, you actually do it this way. Now, obviously I'm not going to type, what you call it? We just do this, right? And it finds Derby client, although it's only finding the local one that's 1014. Which is old.
Is that the same one that you have in already?
I'm sorry?
Is that the same client that you already have in that one already?
It's the same client we have in this one.
Okay.
but how I got it is it downloads it, and then you select which version you want. It's not like I'm doing something like, this isn't local,
Yeah.
right? It's not finding it locally. It's actually trying to connect. And then when you connect it to the system, then it downloads it automatically. And so that's what this is. That's the local one is one that's been downloaded through this system already. However, I'm not really sure if we have issues with the repository. See the global libraries, it should hit these automatically. For today, we just use the 10.4, right? That would work. I mean, it's going to work. It's just not going to make me happy. Not one thing, it's another thing, right? Yay. Now, what I can actually do, by the way, is if I go into documents, and we go into Derby bin and go into libs, right? And it's Derby 10.16.1.1, right? Yes, I can go in here, the POM. Right? Change it. Yes. Right, I'm gonna save it and because I changed the dependency, it should have to download it. It's not. It's using the 10.4 still, of course. I changed the right POM. I think I might have changed the other one. Yep. Do that. Helps when you change the right file. All right. This is just the way the system downloads. It probably is going to work on yours without what you call it, but mine is doing something stupid. And trust me, you're going to prefer there you go. Now we have the Derby client. Yay, the right one. Should you have to do this? No, but for some reason the list was not populated for me. Okay, so now this should run and we should be able to simply compile it and run it. And this is still using the root database. The student already exists in schema root because I ran this the other day. This is how we know it's working. But note, I didn't actually start the database, right? It just, hey, it's connected, right? The network server is running as long as it's running. It doesn't matter if one of these is actually connected or not. Okay, it's just the database has to be running. So let's change it to the one we just used. Horta, and we're going to stick with the username. I'm going to leave Mike there. Mike is the wrong password. And now, since we're using a Huerta, I keep using the where, right? Apologize, that's not how you say it. Probably is how you say it, right? That's not how you say it. You don't say Huerta.
It's just where.
Huerta.
Yeah.
Like literally,
You
Huerta.
don't- Yeah, you don't pronounce the H. Like the word where.
Okay.
You roll your R obviously better than that.
No, I was gonna say, oh, you roll your R?
Yeah. What the?
Oh, yeah, I can't do that. I can't roll my, so that's my Spanish teacher would be mad at me over that, but it was not, I sold her a computer one time.
Honestly, it's not even remotely as bad as it's been pronounced, so that's fine.
All right. That is Mouse is doing a mouse thing again. So anyway, we connected to database, we created the database. If I run it again, remind me to bring a mouse next class. This is ridiculous. Steal the one from there. I'll be mad. Table student already exists. Now, you can actually create tables inside here. You can. So where to, right, in an app, there's no, where's the table? The table is actually inside here. Right, connect to it again. You go, wait a second, there's a where the table? Yes. It works a little weirdly. I don't understand why it's doing this, but there it is. Yes. It was doing this to me earlier. I believe you can specify the schema in the URL. I'm not going to care, however. Yes. Now, what you can do with this table here in what you call it is you can view the data, which is useful. You can execute a command on it, which is useful. You can also create a table if you choose to do so. Yes, but you should do everything in code. Literally everything should be in code. You can test things like a SQL command. You can test things, and I want you to be able to test things in NetBeans, but really you should be doing everything in code. And the reason for that is when you go to turn in any homework for me, right? Where I'm going to run your code. I'm going to create your database using your last name, username and password being your last name. And then I'm going to just run your code. It should recreate all the tables and do all the work for me, right? So that's how you should be doing it too. Okay. All right. So now that we have a student, let's go ahead and populate student with some random shit. Right? We can't have no data, right? We gotta have some data. 8/31, I believe, was the day we did some work. Does that sound right? You know? Nathan's like, maybe, I don't know. All right. So I'm going to show you a couple things, and I'm not going to show them to you to be mean or anything like that. What I'm going to specifically say is this is the way I want you to do it, because when I run your setup code, it runs every time, whether I have the tables recreated or not. Okay. You go, wait, what? Suppose for some reason, Riley, I was about to call him Herb. By the way, I was looking at Volkswagen Beetles and I found one that looks like Herbie. You can buy Herbie decals. So if you have a bug, you can make it look like Herbie. That is a real thing. There's a ton of them out there, by the way. Huh?
I forgot about that movie.
My kid loves that movie, but what I was going to say is that Riley has me check his homework for some reason, and for some reason that table exists. Yes. His homework works with his code, but doesn't work with my code. One of the reasons why it doesn't work is likely because maybe the table was created wrong or the table was created incorrectly. So always do it the way I'm telling you to do it. Okay. I haven't actually started yet, but do it the way I'm going to tell you to do it. Okay. So the first things first, you're going to have, and I'm going to actually go, you're going to want to name your class something like, why is I can't get a main class? Oh, because I've never created one. That's why. And I don't usually do it that way. Set up DB, right? Should not have done that, by the way. All right, come on, Ruth. Brain farting. There you go, refactor, rename. I renamed it the wrong thing, so I want to go rename it. The way to do that is this. So you're going to name something like setup DB or something like that. And all it's going to do is connect to the database, right? That's all it's going to do. Okay, and it's going to do these in reverse order. So I'm going to actually change this now to actually create the actual correct database. And I'm going to switch it to Ruth just so to keep myself consistent. I believe the other one had a major in it as well. Is that correct? God bless you. Yes, that was the 4 things. So we want to have those same 4 things, right? But first, we're actually going to want to drop the table. So I'm actually going to do, I have to do some cheating. No, you know what? Fuck that. I'm really like in a screw it type mood because technology seems to be being a dick today. You know, technology is not a dick. It's not a person. It's not a thing. It can't be mean to you. Yeah. Okay. So here's the bad news. All right. If the table doesn't exist and you go to drop it, what happens?
Error.
You get an error usually. So what will this happen? It'll happen to throw an exception. What happens if it throws an exception? Never gets through to creating the table. So you probably want to split this into 2 parts, but we're going to try it anyway. And I'm going to try it on Ruth. I'm going to switch this all back to Ruth. And I'm just going to make sure I drop the table, and then we'll see. I'm going to run this twice, and then it should drop the table, right? So I'm going to just say it out loud. I got to figure out how to make the output. I got to figure out how to make the output bigger. I haven't had it figured out how to do that yet. So it was successful. Yay. Run it again. This time when I run it again, okay. I'm not clicking build by accident, am I? All right, anyway, so now I drop the table and I remove it and it should work. Come on. And rerun any code. Let me go ahead and close you. Is that one of the reasons why this thing is? So I have multiple windows open, maybe? Yay, and I ran it. And I can run this 50 times. No matter how many times I run it, database goes away and gets recreated, right? So I'm guaranteed no matter what happens at the end of this setup DB, I have a working database code. So the next thing I'm going to do is come along and populate database, right? And so what this is going to do, it's going to be very similar to this. You want this, I'm going to try catch. And I'm cheating because I'm just cheating. I just want, oops. I just want to print the exception, right? Yay. All right, come on, really? It's killing me. All right, so I just want this part of the connection. All right. Now we're gonna put 1,000 things in it. Why 1,000 things? Well, when you get to teach your own class, you can make it less than 1,000 things, right? When you say. Is the code big enough? I can't actually see. It's big or no?
Yeah.
You can make it bigger. All right. So anyway, I get my for loop here. The reason I opened the code from the other day is, remember all this stuff? I just copied it and now I'm going to paste it in. So during class, I try to reuse as much code as possible just to save time. But you'll see that errors everywhere, errors here, errors there, errors everywhere. All right, so I put these in the proper place. My for loop, we no longer need the roster. We no longer need that. We no longer need the student. We no longer need the graduate student thing. So we're gonna get rid of all that. Boom. Now what I want to do is have an int SID, and I'm going to make it equal to whatever we were doing before. Nothing special, Joe, right? And double, I see a question up there. Give me a second. Double GPA. I'm going to just do the same thing I did before. I'm just sealing all this stuff. Oops, of course. All right, so let me see what the chat says. Oh. Uh-oh. To make your output section big, well, just hold control and move it. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if yeah, this doesn't seem to be making it bigger, buddy.
You
Well,
just hold the control, like don't highlight anything. Just while you're in there, hit control and then just move your mouse up.
yeah, it's, yeah, I will look it up, but it's not working for me, but thank you for trying.
You're welcome.
Okay, so, all right, and so the next thing is I need the string name, and I just steal it from before. There's nothing special about anything I'm doing at this point. Oops, there is something special about that. Shit. Actually, you know what I do? Why can't I just do that? Why can't I just do that? Brum, brum, brum. Oh, everybody sees what I'm missing, right? Somehow I forgot to do major. Also, does anybody else notice what's wrong? I created a random.
So whenever we're making this, are we gonna make it to where it's doing random numbers and stuff? Or are we gonna make it to where it's like an input that we have to put in?
Yeah, it's what I'm doing. But here's the thing, it's exactly like this. There's not like it's a variant. I don't get berries. Do you know what I mean? No?
Yeah.
Is that red or orange?
That's a word.
Yeah, that was
Fucker.
yellow.
Anyway, I say fucker because it looks like it's red and therefore it looks like an error. Instead, it's being stupid. All right, anyway. Now we're gonna build our string SQL command. And this is not gonna work at some level. So we're gonna fix this. Insert into, what is it, student values, and then you're just gonna have the values one after the other. Now, this is important, and I promise you one of you will fuck this up during your homework, during your thing, and it will not work. And I'm gonna explain why it's not gonna work, okay? But please be sure that you're doing it correctly, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually copy it in there. And then I'm gonna comment it out. Okay, and we go, what do you mean screw it up? Okay, here it goes. SQL, you got the values and you got the open parentheses, right? So you're gonna go SQL plus, and you're gonna add the first value. Yes? What is the first value? The first value should be integer. Yes? See the order? That order is the order you need to go in. So the very first thing I need is SID. SID is an integer, which is a number, which means it does not need to be quoted. Yes? So I can just put a comma there. Think that's your first thing. Your second thing is name. Name is a what? So what do we need to do?
Well,
I'm using single quotes, right?
why is
See
it
it?
name and not GPA?
You see it says name, SID name, major GPA. Have to go in the
Okay,
order in
okay,
which
okay.
it was created.
Yeah.
That is the order in which the columns are. Column 0, column
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. So it has to go in that
I
order.
thought you were
If
going
you
from-
switch them, it thinks that you're trying to insert the GPA into, and here's the bad news. What happens if it partially works? That's worse than if it didn't work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So be aware of that. But the very first part is you literally need that quote. If it's a string, it needs to be quoted. No getting around that.
Will it give you an error if it's not quoted?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna take the quotes off in a minute, but I'm trying to emphasize it so you don't screw it up, right?
Yeah.
So the next one is major. And then we wrap up with GPA. Now GPA is in fact a number. And as a result of being a number, what can we do? No quotes, right? That's it. Number, quotes, not a number. Aha, quotes. Actually, dates are weird. You still quote them, I think, if I remember right. Yes. I'm trying to decide your homework right now. It's for you. We'll talk about it in a minute. But for you, I might add dates in it anyway. So you get a chance to play with dates in your homework.
Do we have access to this code or no?
Yeah, I plan to give it to you.
You just, right?
Oh, no, you should copy them. Like, it's gonna be different stuff, but yeah, you should copy it. There's no excuse not to. The reason I create the randomization code is to help you do it yourself. Hopefully you know that, right? Yeah, you can always copy my code. It's code on the internet, right? That I have a problem with. So this is an execute query SQL. Now, this is a problem. Why is it a problem? You see the primary key SID? It is an error. It will throw a SQL exception if you try to insert the same thing twice, which means I don't care how many loops you did, it stops at that duplicate. Yes. Now I created 1,000, right? And I have a 5-digit thing, so it shouldn't overlap that much, right? How much you want to bet? Every time I run this, it'll overlap. You're laughing because you know it won't overlap just this once. The likelihood of that happening is pretty small, but see? Oh, it says, wait, it says that student doesn't exist. What do you mean student doesn't exist? That's what this does. Drop the table, execute the table. Okay. And we're in Ruth. And what did I create an error when I was trying to create the table? It's not my day, right? All right. So let's comment out the dropping part. I'm so close to killing Derby. This close. That's the problem. It's not actually, none of this is the code problem. This is actually relatively simple. Yay, it definitely exists, so. Did I call it create? No, grade table stew, yes. All right. Why are you not creating a table? It's gonna be a very short class again. You gotta be. And, but I will say this, the following, if this actually continues to screw up, we will be using MySQL literally the next class. Our next Monday will be MySQL. We'll take a day off just to install MySQL and get that to work because this is ridiculous. And there's Ruth. There's the Ruth schema. And there is no fucking table. You've got to be kidding me. Here I am creating a table. This is creating a table. Okay. One of the things I want to point out that's a little different from last class is I actually ran this. Yes? So in other words, I actually tested this before and it worked yesterday. So I do not know. But this should be populating the table. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. It's not going to work, obviously, right now. But you know what I could do? What if? This is stupid. I should not have to do this because this is utter bullshit. Excuse my language again. I'm going to go ahead and create the table. Oh, I don't want to do the close. Yes, bing, bing, bing. And I'm actually testing something that should not ever be a problem. But if it is, we'll need to use MySQL too. And we'll just switch. MySQL and Oracle both have free versions. One's just going to be easier to install than the other. It's really that. The only thing is that I'll have to show you. I'll have to show you how to not only install it. Unfortunately, you have to set up usernames and passwords. Right? But we may need to do that. Does anybody have any preferences over MySQL or Oracle? MySQL is more of a web one. Oracle is more of a professional working one. I think MySQL might be easier just for the class purposes. So I think I might just use MySQL, but I'm literally shaking pissed off. All right, so what we're gonna do is we have 20 minutes. I'm gonna cut off class so I can record the installation process. That's what I'll do, is I'll record the installation process and you can watch that at your convenience. And then when we come back to class, depending on what we do during the recording, we may need to configure it and then we'll do this class over next class.
So no homework?
Yeah, I think we gotta figure out the homework because I can't give you a homework if we haven't actually connected to a database. But that's actually probably something we need to talk about now. Let's do that. Because it's gonna be impossible. Like, okay, so let's suppose that I'm forced to give you the homework and have this remain the same deadline, right? If somebody objects, you get the homework today, whether you can do it or not today, right? That's how that works.
So like, if we
I'm not
can't do
joking.
it, if we can't do it because the program doesn't work, how does the grading of the homework go?
We'll be able to do it by the time. We'll talk about it in a minute. So if I give you the homework today and you can't actually do it because whatever,
Right.
it's actually due after you learn how to do it. Right? I promise you'll be able to do it after Monday next week. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I would recommend is that if you guys wouldn't mind moving the deadline back, giving and receiving, then you get the full week to be able to do the homework. But the thing is, I'm pointing out is if someone objects, the homework has to be remain.
Right.
So I just make the homework easier, but it still has to be that day. All right. So homework one now is supposed to be given today. If I moved it to the 21st, it wouldn't change. Oh, wait, how many weeks? I gave you 2 weeks to do it. I gave you 2 weeks to do it. That's stupid. Hold on. Yeah, I get 2 weeks to do homework 3. Yeah, we can move it back. That'll be fine. Just move it back to end of next week, and then essentially it would move. It's not just going to move homework 1. It's going to move homework 2 as well, possibly. But we're not going to move homework 1 right now, unless homework 2 right now, unless something weird happens. Okay, because what I'm going to do is try to make up the difference between that. Yes. All right. So if nobody objects, and I'm going to just send an email out to this, nobody objects, you're going to object to me by the end of the day. And I'll send out an email out to the spec. What we're going to do is 9/14, the homework will not be given today. It'll be given on the 21st. I think that's next Wednesday. Does that sound right?
Yeah, the 19th is Monday.
Yes, so the 21st will be next Wednesday. I could even give it Monday. There's really nothing to do that. But whatever day you give it, the due date would be also moved back. So if I move it back to, for instance, if I move it back to the 19th, right, which would fully work. If I move it back, not the 19th, sorry. Yeah, if I move it back to next Monday, instead of it being due on the 28th, it'd be due on the 10/30, right? If I give it on 9/21, which is my expectation, because I like to have homeworks due on Wednesdays rather than Mondays, because I don't like to answer a bunch of shit emails on Sunday night. Okay, I answered that. I explained myself. Does that make you feel better? No, probably not. Anyway, but that is actually what's going on. So if I give it to you on the 21st, it would be due on the 5th. And then likely we're going to have to move homework 2 as well. Likely, not a guarantee. You get 2 weeks to do homework 2. You don't need 2 weeks to do homework 2. I'd rather not give you the extra time to do homework 2, and not because I don't like you guys, but I'd like to make up the time before that, right? So we're back on track. Yes? Any other questions? All right, sure. I'm going to record something to help us move to MySQL. I am as pissed off as you are. This sucks so much.
So should watching that like last bit to install the NetBeans, I'm gonna do it.
So install NetBeans.
Okay.
Still do that. You still need that. We're not going to use NetBeans anymore. Oracle, not Oracle, MySQL has a tool system that allows us to do everything we would do in NetBeans and that we do in what's called. The problem is now, this is why I tried to avoid it. Now I have to show you how to install MySQL, which isn't that hard, but I also have to show you how to manage it. So what that means is you have to create usernames and passwords. Derby, what you don't know is Derby doesn't really give a shit too much about username and passwords. It cares, but it doesn't really care, right? If you watch the recording, the short recording piece, I literally used the wrong password and it worked. Yes. MySQL and Oracle will care, but worse than that, they actually they use destination. They use port forwarding, not port forwarding. They use filtering, so you can only access them from certain domains. So we have to set that up as well. You know what that means? Every time you want to run your application, you have to start up MySQL to do so. Wait, what? Every time I run you know how I just right-clicked and create a database? And with the usernames and passwords, I have to create users, then I have to create databases, and then I have to connect the two. That's how that's going to have to work. So we'll talk about that. It's actually not that hard, but I really didn't want to spend that much time on it. It's going to be 30 minutes, probably easy. Okay. And I have to catch up at some point. So, but yeah, your homework's going to move back yet another week. I apologize again. It worked at home. So when I get home, when I get back to my office, I'm going to scream because it's probably something minor that's happening.
After you make the video, you're gonna figure out.
No, actually, I think I know what's wrong. So remember how I told you guys that the databases are all stored in a folder on your computer?
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that the, what's it called, doesn't have permission to change things. And as a result of that, it's not allowing you to create new databases. Yes, so it feels like it's doing it in memory, but it's not really doing it. But here's the thing. I'm not joking, the code ran just fine yesterday, so I don't know. But you try to take down a deer with a little bow and it doesn't work. You pull out the bazooka, right? That's what we're gonna do. Yes. In other words, the fix that we're gonna present the next class is not a fix that we're gonna be concerned about it not working. It's going to work. It's gonna require more work to make it work, but it's going to work permanently. This is not an unsolvable problem, in short. Yes. Also, F NetBeans. Okay. So we're gonna end early today, only 10 minutes apparently, but